Okay, everybody have their books open. I need you guys to be on page 263. Page 263. We're starting chapter 4.2. Chapter 4.2 is all about trigonometry, as from what we've already been starting. Now, a unit circle was what we did yesterday. There are 6 trig functions that can be calculated by using the lovely little trig, the unit circle. So we have sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. Now, sine is sin. It's not sin, it's sine. Cosine is cos. Tangent is tan. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. This is the way I remember it. S in the middle. S in the middle, sine. S in the middle, sine. S in the middle, sine. Okay, they're reciprocals of one another. Cosine and secant are going to be reciprocals, and tan and cotangent are going to be reciprocals. All right. So over here, sine is going to be the y value. We learned this yesterday for the unit circle. The y value in the ordered pair xy. Cosine is going to be the x value in the ordered pair xy. And these angles right here, or these letters, are your Greek alphabet. This is the first one is going to be theta. Then this row right here at the bottom is going to be alpha, beta, gamma, and then phi. Okay? They all refer to angles. The reason why is because they can't say that the cosine of x is equal to x, because x is an angle and x is a number. It doesn't understand that. Does that make sense? So what it does is it gives it a different variable, and they use the Greek alphabet for that to represent the angles. Okay. Now, we have the cosine of t. T can be in there as well. It just represents a different thing. It's representing an angle here. The cosine of t is equal to x. So therefore, the reciprocal is going to be the secant of t is equal to 1 over the cosine, which is going to be 1 over x. Then you have the sine of t is equal to y, meaning the reciprocal is the cosecant, and that's going to be 1 over y. And then we have the tangent of t, which is also sine over cosine. Sine is y, cosine is x, so that's why it's y over x. And then the reciprocal of tangent is cotangent, which is going to be x over y. Do we all understand that, yes or no? I see some shivering people out there. Y'all cool? Okay, I did not put this in your notes. I forgot to put this in your notes, so you need to write this in your notes right now. And it's page 263, the blue box. I want you to copy that down on that sheet of paper. Odd and even functions. So I'll give you a hot second to do that now. You ready? Okay, here we go. These are formulas that are odd and even, and all you have to do is apply the formulas. So we're going to start today's homework. And the examples today, we have homework is going to be 2 through 52 even. I'm going to be doing some even and odd problems from these sections. You're not responsible to do the odd problems for homework, but they could 100% be test questions, which is why I'm doing some of those in class, which you're aware of. Do we all understand that, yes or no? So I know you're probably going to be like, well, why can't she just work on my homework problems? Because you're responsible for the odd problems as well, even though I did. So here we go, chapter 4-2, written A, 2 through 52 even is your assignment. Let's go ahead and read the instructions on page 264. On page 264, it says determine the exact values of the 6 trigonometric functions of the angle theta. They want all 6. That means sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, cosecant, and secant. Do we all understand that? It wants all 6 of them. If it ever tells you if possible, what does it mean if possible? Why wouldn't it be able to be done? Not imaginary. How about undefined? When do I have something that's undefined? Nope. Whenever you're dividing by 0. You can never divide by 0. So if you have 0 in the denominator, your answer will be undefined, which is why it would be impossible to do that calculation. Do we all understand that, yes or no? Okay, so what they're giving you on number 1 is they're giving you a visual unit circle, and they plotted the point -8/17, 15/17. And what they've done is they made an angle out of it. They want you to find the 6 trig functions. Oh, sorry, the 6 trig functions. So they gave you an ordered pair, x and y. What do I automatically know? I automatically know sine and cosine. Excellent job. Okay? Sine of theta and cosine of theta. But what is the sine of theta? Sine is your y value, and what is my y coordinate here? 15/17. What is the cosine? Your x coordinate, which is -8/17. Now, did you notice how I didn't put my x coordinate first? I put my y coordinate first. Did y'all notice that? I put sine. You know why? Because tangent is understood to be sine divided by cosine. So all I have to do in a situation like that is literally say 15/17 divided by -8/17. The 17's cancel out, and you're left with 15/8. Do we see that, yes or no? So I found 3 of them. How many do I need to find? I need to find 3 more. I need to have all 6. Would you agree? Now, if I know those 3, then I automatically know their inverses. What is the inverse reciprocal of the sine? Remember I said s in the middle refers to sine? So what trig function has an s in the middle? The cosecant of theta is the reciprocal of sine, so that's 17/15. Then that leaves the secant to be the reciprocal of cosine. What is the reciprocal of cosine? What is the reciprocal of cosine? What numerical number? 17/8. And then what is the reciprocal of tangent, which is cotangent? What is that going to be? -8/15. Done. I found all 6 trig functions. Do we all understand how to do problems 1 through 4? This is how you do problems 1 through 4. Any questions over that? Okay, the next set of instructions. The next set of instructions for number 5 through 12 say this. Find the point xy on the unit circle that corresponds to the real number t. Okay, the real number t, all of these angles are in radian measure. Why are they in radian measure and not degree measure? Because it says it's a real number t. If it's a real number t, that means you can find it on the number line. Can you find 180 degrees on the number line? No, you can only find its numerical equivalent, which is pi, which is 3.14. Do we all understand that? So all of your answers today, or angles I should say, in this section are going to be in radian measure. Now I need your brain to locate where that radian measure is at on the unit circle, meaning the quadrant. And then based upon that, using the hands of the clock that I taught you yesterday, 0, 1, 2, 3, find that ordered pair in your brain. Go ahead and get out your unit circle to help you, okay? What quadrant is going to be pi/4n? It is in quadrant 1. Since it's in quadrant 1, we know that everything is plus plus. Would you agree? All the x values are positive, all the y values are negative. Now, with that being said, all angles that have a denominator of 4 correspond to what Remember the hands of the clock that I talked about? 0, 1, 2, 3. What does 45 correspond to? What ordered pair?
Radical of 2 over 2, radical of 2.
Square root of 2 over 2, comma, square root of 2 over 2. Do you remember that? And remember, whenever I say the hands of the clock, here's the point 0, 1, here's the point 1/2, here's the point square root of 2 over 2, here's the point square root of 3 over 2. Those are just your x values of that ordered pair. Do you remember that? 45 is right here. Yes? Which is why it's corresponding to the square root of 2 over 2, comma, square root of 2 over 2. Any questions on number 5? You're done. All it wants is that ordered pair. Now, number 7, 7 pi over 6. Where is 7 pi over 6 at? Well, here's 6 pi over 6, so where's 7 pi over 6 at? It is in quadrant 3, so since it's in quadrant 3, that is the negative quadrant, yes? And all angles that have a denominator of 6 correspond to what ordered pair? All angles with a denominator of 6 correspond to what ordered pair? I'm trying to train your brains, guys. 0, 1, 2, 3, pi over 6 is that 30-degree angle, right? So it's going to correspond to the square root of 3 over 2, comma, 1/2. However, I'm in quadrant 3, so that means what about my lovely little... They're both having to be negative. Do we understand that? Because 7 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6 is 1 pi. Would you agree? So here's where I'm going to start. This gives me all 6 of them, but then I need to have one more slice of that pi, so that's going to give me the 7 pi over 6. You see that? Seven pi over 6 is quadrant 3. Yes, but remember I said all denominators with denominator 6 have the ordered pair square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. So if you look right here, that ordered pair is there, and then over here, that ordered pair is there, but the negative in quadrant 2 is going to go correspond to the x coordinate. I'm in quadrant 3, which is where 7 pi over 6 is at, so both of them will be negative. You understand? It's still the same ordered pair. What changes is it goes from being both positive in quadrant 1 to in quadrant 3 being both negative. Okay? What you have to understand is you have to locate your angle first. Locating your angle tells you whether it's positive or if it's negative. Okay? Every single thing in your quadrant, this is pi over 3, pi over 4, pi over 6. If you know those 3 things, you know the entire unit circle. Okay? This is where I said you're going to have 1/2. This is the square root of 2 over 2, and this is the square root of 3 over 2. These are your x values. The same angles are going to be here. Do you see those ones? All the red ones are denominator of 6. All the red ones are denominator of 6. They share the same ordered pair. That ordered pair is the square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. Except for over here, it's negative square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. Down here, it's negative square root of 3 over 2, negative 1/2. And over here, it's going to be the square root of 3 over 2, negative 1/2. They all have exactly the same ordered pair. It's just you have to determine if that ordered pair is going to be positive in that quadrant or negative. Do you understand why we had to locate where it was at first to determine that? Yes? Do you get it? It's going to take some practice. Okay? Let's go ahead and do another one here. Let's go ahead and do number 10. Number 10. What does number 10 say? 5 pi over 3. Okay, we need to figure out where 5 pi over 3 is at, right? We can memorize it, but I want you to be able to figure it out as well, okay? This is going to be 3 pi over 3, and over here is going to be what? 6 pi over 3. So where's 5 pi over 3 at? It has to be in quadrant 4 because it's going to come all the way around and land right here. Okay? So that is going to be in quadrant 4. In quadrant 4, that is going to be a positive negative. Do we understand that? Because I have all three, I had to divide this into 3 equal sections. I need 3, 4, 5 of them. That's why it's in quadrant 4. Remember that? There are 3 parts of the pie on the top, 3 parts of the pie on the bottom, giving me a total of 6 pieces. Okay? I wanted 5 of them. What point corresponds to a denominator of 3? Well, if we go back to what we just did over here, this is a denominator of 3. That corresponds with that 1/2 concept. So this is going to be 1/2 and then the square root of 3 over 2. That corresponds to that ordered pair. However, I'm in quadrant 4, so therefore it's negative 1 square root of 3 over 2. Positive 1/2, negative square root of 3 over 2. Do we understand that? Okay, let's move on to the next section. The next section is problems 13 through 22. And it says evaluate if possible the sine, cosine, and tangent. It only wants you to do those 3, sine, cosine, and tangent. So let's go ahead and do number 14. Number 14, what quadrant am I in? I am in quad 1, which means I'm in the plus plus. It has a denominator of 3. What ordered pair corresponds to that denominator of 3? 1/2 square root of 3 over 2 corresponds to that. So since I'm in quad 1, they both are positive. And now I need to find the sine of pi over 3, the cosine of pi over 3, and the tangent of pi over 3. Yes? So if I'm doing the sine of pi over 3, that is your y-coordinate of your ordered pair. So what is the y-coordinate? It is the square root of 3 over 2. The sine or the cosine is going to be your x-coordinate, and then what is that going to be? 1/2. The tangent is going to be y over x, which is going to be the square root of 3 over 2 divided by 1/2. Now, what did I show you with this? Simply cross off the 2's denominators because they're the same, and you just have the square root of 3. Do we understand that? Yes or no? We good? Number 18. Now, how is 18 different than what 14 was? I have a negative angle, right? So if I have a negative angle, what does that mean I have to do? When I locate my angle, I'm going clockwise, which means this is going to be negative 3 pi over 3, not positive 3 pi over 3. Yes? So that means I'm going to have 3 slices in the bottom, and I'm going to have 3 more slices on the top. So where is negative 4 pi over 3 at? It is in quadrant 2. Do we all understand that? And it's going up this direction. Do we see that? Yes or no? So if I'm in quadrant 2, that means I'm in the negative positive, correct? So look at the denominator. What is the denominator? It's 3. So what point does 3 correspond to on the unit circle? 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. However, I'm in quadrant 2. So since I'm in quadrant 2, the 1/2 is negative. So therefore, you can't see that that 1/2 is negative very well. That is the ordered pair. Now I need to find the sine, cosine, and tangent. So remember, sine of negative 4 pi over 3 is equal to your y value. And what is my y value here? Square root of 3 over 2. The cosine of negative 4 pi over 3 is going to be equal to my x value. And what is my x value? Negative 1/2. And then the tangent of negative 4 pi over 3 is going to be equal to y over x, which is going to be what? Square root of 3 over 2 divided by negative 1/2. 2's cancel out, and I'm going to give you negative square roots of 3. Do we understand how to do that section of the homework? We good? Okay, the next section is 23 through 26, and it says evaluate, if possible, the 6 trigonometric functions. So you have to find sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, cosecant, and secant. Yes? Okay, same exact thing. We need to find where 5 pi over 6 is located. So that means I'm right here. This is going to be 6 pi over 6, and this is going to be 12 pi over 6. So I need 5 of those. So where is 5 pi over 6 at? I am in quad 2. When I'm in quad 2, that is the negative positive quadrant, correct? I'm in quad 2, that is the negative positive quadrant. What ordered pair corresponds to a denominator of 6? The square root of 3 over 2, comma 1/2. The square root of 3 over 2 is the x value that is negative in quadrant 2. All of these values can be confirmed by using your unit circle. Do you understand that? I want you to train your brain and do it the way I'm teaching you now, but then I want you to check using your unit circle that your thought process is correct every time. Do you all understand this? So with that being said, I need to find all 6 trig functions. So I need to find the sine first. The sine of 5 pi over 6 is my y value, which is going to be, I'm sorry, 1/2. What is the inverse function or the reciprocal of the sine? What is the, it will be 2, but what trig function matches that? I can't hear you. It is cosecant. Remember, S is in the middle. The cosecant of 5 pi over 6 is going to be 1 over y, which is just going to be 2. So next, let's go ahead and do the cosine. The cosine of 5 pi over 6 is going to be your x value, which what is your x value here? Negative square root of 3 over 2. So what is its inverse trig function? What is the opposite of cosine? Secant. So the secant of 5 pi over 6 is going to be 1 over x, which is going to be the reciprocal of this, which is going to be 2 over negative square roots of 3. Do I like that? So you have to rationalize that. So this is going to be negative 2 square roots of 3 over 3. Yes? Now I have to find the tangent of 5 pi over 6. That's going to be y over x, so that's going to be 1/2 divided by negative 3 over 2, square root of 3 over 2. What is that going to give me? Negative 1 over the square root of 3. Do I like that? Now I have to rationalize that. So I'm going to multiply by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3 to give you negative square root of 3 over 3. That is your tangent. So if that's your tangent, what is your cotangent of theta? Or 5 pi over 6. Simply take the non-rationalized fraction. What is the non-rationalized fraction? 1 over negative square root of 3. So what is the reciprocal of that now? That's going to be negative square roots of 3 over 1, which is just negative square roots of 3. So it wants you to find all 6 of them there in section 24 through 28. Yes? Okay, the next section. The directions say evaluate the trigonometric function using its period as an aid. You know what? That is a very fancy way of saying find the coterminal angle from 0 to 2 pi. Meaning they're giving you a corkscrew angle. Since they're giving you a corkscrew angle of 5 pi, they want to know what 5 pi is equivalent to on the unit circle. So all it wants you to do is basically find the coterminal angle between 0 and 360 or 0 and 2 pi. So you're simply going to take 5 pi and subtract 2 pi. What is 5 pi minus 2 pi? 3 pi. Now, is 3 pi on the unit circle yet? Is that between 0 and 2 pi? No, it's still larger. It's still a corkscrew angle, right? So I need to do it again. So what is 3 pi minus 2 pi? 1 pi. You know what this means? This means that the sine of 5 pi is actually doing the sine at pi. They are exactly the same value. So what ordered pair corresponds to pi on the unit circle? What ordered pair, x comma y, corresponds to pi on the unit circle? The ordered pair that corresponds to that is going to be -1, 0. Since it is -1, 0, which y value or x value do I want? Do I want the sine or the cosine in this case? The problem that says the sine of pi. So the sine of pi is going to be your y value, which is 0. Do we understand that? Yes or no? We good? 5 pi is over 2 revolutions on the unit circle, which is why you had to subtract 2 pi 2 times for you to find the equivalent on the unit circle between 0 and 2 pi, which is pi. Okay? Keep going. 34. 34 says that it's the same exact thing. It says evaluate using the period as if say it's -19 pi over 6. Well, -19 pi over 6 is clearly a negative angle, meaning it's opening clockwise. And since it's negative, I need it to land on the unit circle. So instead of subtracting 2 pi, what am I going to do? I'm going to add 2 pi. So I'm going to take -19 pi over 6. I'm going to add 2 pi to that. How do we get a denominator that is the same? Take 6 times 2, and what does that give me? It's going to give me a 12 pi over 6. So what is -19 pi plus positive 12 pi?
7 pi.
Careful.
-7 pi.
This is -7 pi over 6. Is that between 0 and 2 pi? No, so I need to do it again, right? So if I do this again, -7 pi over 6 plus the 12 pi over 6. What is -7 plus 12? 5 pi over 6. So basically what I'm doing here is the sine of 5 pi over 6. What quadrant is 5 pi over 6 in? Here's 6 pi over 6, so that has to be in quadrant 2. What corresponds to quadrant 2? That's negative positive, right? What point corresponds with the denominator of 6? Hands of the clock, 0, 1, 2, 3. It's the closest to 0. So what is that going to be? Square root of 3 over 2, comma 1/2. However, it's going to be a negative there. So I need to go ahead and find my sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine of -19 pi over 6, cosine of -19 pi over 6, and tangent of -19 pi over 6. What is the sine? 1/2 is correct. What is the cosine? Negative square root of 3 over 2. So what is that going to be the tangent then? Tangent's 1/2 divided by -3 square roots of 2. Those cancel out to give you 1 over negative square roots of 3. Do I like that? No, that is going to give you negative square roots of 3 over 3. Yes? Now, if I know sine, cosine, and tangent, what else do I know? What is the cosecant of -19 pi over 6? That's the reciprocal of sine, so that's going to be 2. What is the secant of -19 pi over 6? That's going to be 2 over negative square roots of 3. Do I like that? No, so I need to rationalize that. So that's going to be 2 square roots of 3 over -3. And then cotangent is simply taking the reciprocal or taking the non-rationalized answer, which is simply going to be negative square roots of 3. So I found all 6 of my trig functions for that. Do you understand that section? The difference between these problems and the previous ones are these are all corkscrew angles that you actually have to find where it falls on the unit circle. Okay? 37. We're 37 through 42. We're 37 through 42. What they want you to do is on page 263, that blue box that I made you guys write down, the even and odd, it wants you to apply those formulas. It wants you to apply those formulas. So if I tell you the sine of t is 1/3, what else do I immediately know if I know that the sine of t is 1/3? What else do I immediately know? I automatically know that the cosecant of t is going to be equal to the reciprocal, which is 3. I automatically know that because they are inverses of each other. Do we all understand that? Now, on page 263, what is the sine at negative t equal to? It is going to equal negative sine of t. So you're simply going to say this is negative sine of t. Well, do I know what the sine of t is? Do I know what that is? What is that? It's 1/3. All you have to do is make a simple substitution. So that's negative 1/3. Do we understand that? Yes or no? Okay, on page 263, what is the cosecant at negative t equivalent to? Negative cosecant of t. So do I know what the cosecant of t is? I do know what the cosecant of t is because we wrote that down up here, and all we have to do is do a simple plug and chug, and that's negative 3 now. Do we understand that problem, yes or no? We good? Okay, same exact concept. 45, I'm going to come back to do another one from that section here in a second. 45, this section for it says use a calculator to evaluate the expression, round your answer to 4 decimal places. Now I'm going to pull up my calculator, and while my calculator is slowly pulling up, we're going to skip down to the next problem. Okay, the next problem is going to be problem 38. The cosine of t is equal to negative 3/4. So if I know the cosine of t, what do I automatically know? If I know the cosine of t is negative 3/4, what else do I automatically know? I know the reciprocal of cosine is secant, so that's negative 4/3. Do we all understand that, yes or no? We good? Okay, on page 263, what is the cosine of t? I feel like I have an error up there, so let's make sure I don't. 38. Yes, there's supposed to be a negative here. Sorry. What does the cosine at negative t equal? On page 263, the cosine at negative t on page 263 is equal to what? The cosine of t. Do I know the cosine of t? What is that? Negative 3/4. Very good. On page 263, what's the secant at negative t equal? The secant at negative t equals what? On page 263. The secant of t. Do I know what the secant of t is? Negative 4/3. Okay, 45. Remember we were waiting for my calculator to pull up here? Hopefully it did. It didn't. Fun times. Probably because I pulled up the wrong thing. Okay, the directions on this say use a calculator to evaluate the expression, round your answer to 4 decimal places. Now, all of them are in radian measurements. Do we all understand that? So as soon as you open up your calculator on a calculator page, I need you to go put your mouse over on your lovely little battery. You need to make sure that your battery says radian and not degree. Do we all understand what I just said? We need to make sure that our battery says radian and not degree. So if I go ahead and I put my mouse over there I'm going to say, okay, well, I am going to be in degree mode. Do I want to be in degree mode? No, I'm going to click on this and go to document settings. And where it says angle degree, I want it to be radian. I'm going to press OK. Y'all with me? And we were doing problem 45 where it says the cosecant of 1.3. 1.3 is a decimal, right? And that's between 0 and 1.57, which means it's in quadrant 1. Correct? 90 degrees is pi divided by 2. Pi is 3.14 divided by 2 is 1.57. So 1.57 to 0 is quad 1, yes? So 1.3 falls in there. So you're simply going to go ahead and hit the trig key. Hit the trig key and you're going to hit cosecant. Mine's on crack. We're going to type 1.3 and hit enter. And it says to round to how many decimal places? 4. So what is your answer going to be? 1.0378. 1.0378. And that is how you're going to do 43 through 52. So shall we do another one? 46 says to do the cotangent of 3.7. Sorry. Okay. Tomorrow we'll be doing some Math Excel. You guys have a great day. And